Yellow, yellow. Kamala, Kamala, Trump, Trump, Trump. There we go. Kamala, Kamala, Trump, Trump, Trump. Hello, what's up, Heather? What's up, Jennifer? Welcome back. Jason, Hannah. How was the walk? It was good. Pickles did big girls. She did her big girl stuff. Can hear you now. Welcome back, Kelly. Yeah, we just made a trip around the block. And we're back. We're back for more. The thirst for blood. What's up, Kayla? How do you do to y'alls? Singular. Come on, Mia. Your life's helping me get through homework. I love to hear that. When are the unfriendly debates? I don't know. I sprinkle a few in here and there. Pickles gets crushed during debates. I feel sorry for him. If you say so. If you say so. If that's what you think, bro. I was debating a Nick Fuentes simp, like my first debate earlier. And people were like, why'd you kick him? He was destroying you. And we left off on the note of how Nick Fuentes was just so awesome, according to that guy. Crushed me with it. Real crusher. What's up, Huey? Keep the good fight. Mark Scott, you're awesome. Have a good stream. Appreciate you. Brandon, welcome back, dude. Brandon, you're always here. I appreciate you. Chat, if you guys want to follow me on YouTube, my link is in the bio. It's in my link tree. And it's probably your best bet. If this app were to ever not get renewed by Trump, that's where you'll find me. What's up, Emerald? Welcome back, everybody. We took the shortest break ever. I'm fed. I'm doing good. It's just MAGA field. Yeah, I know. Christine Ohm and I were crushing some. And she, oh my god, Pete Eggs. Oh my god. What's more beneficial? Probably TikTok for now in the interim. Nick and Kanye are basically top 10 IQ. Oh my god. Imagine not being turned off by the fact that someone's a Yahtzee so much that you listen to them long enough to even know what the fuck they're saying. Imagine being that misled. MAGA conflates political activism to crying. Crying about losing the election is what Trump did for 4 years straight. 4 whole years. Couldn't admit he lost. That is crying. Us to come out and criticize Trump for being a really bad president is a little different. You need a member or subscriber chat on YouTube. Those get prioritized. I guess I could pop out chat, moderation activity. What's up, Demarcus? How's everything going? It's true. Trump's campaign since 2008 has been whining, crying about how bad it is to be a billionaire. You hear about the threat from Iran to US, UK, and France? Is this something I can read up real quick? Just said they're going to do something that the world remembers for centuries. Ask your girlfriend if she'll let me take you to dinner. I do not have a girlfriend, guys. Brandon, thank you for becoming a member. Brandon, thank you so much. When did that happen? A few days ago. Democrats are in disarray. You have no leader, no agenda, and Trump is other than Trump is evil, so deranged. You guys, it's sad that y'all need a leader. You guys have no actual stance, no moral value. No, you have no values at all. It's whatever Trump says. It's whatever he says that day. When we ask Trump, "Hey, what are your plans if you become president?" He goes, "I'm the best at everything," and that's all. He doesn't tell you what he's gonna do to fix anything. He just says, "Trust me." That's what you guys need. We need real answers. We have real opinions. We have actual stances on things. We're not so easily fooled. And it turns out the things he's doing fucking suck. Yellow?
Hey, what's going on?
What's up? Are you a Trump supporter?
I voted for him, yeah.
Okay. What do you like about Trump?
Um, well, it's not just about Trump and what he's going for. It's also there's just a lot of discrepancies behind the Democratic Party that I didn't like.
Okay.
Um, I'll give you an example. So back when Joe Biden was in office, do you know what the SB4 bill in Texas is?
I know what the SB3 bill is.
Okay, I'm talking about the SB4 bill.
Okay, what about it?
It basically allows the state and local authorities to arrest and possibly deport any individual entering Texas from the Mexican border unlawfully.
Oh,
It gives them rights to,
you can't do that.
but they passed the bill.
Okay.
And so, but anyway, do you remember how Joe Biden and the Department of Justice, they sued Texas over that?
Yes,
They said it was unconstitutional and
yeah.
it was the sole responsibility of the federal government
Yeah.
to
The borders are under the purview of
immigration
the
laws.
federal government. Yeah, that's no news to anybody. Besides, I guess, Republicans.
So in California, uh, Gavin Newsom is suing Donald Trump and the Department of Justice on the grounds that it's unconstitutional and it affects state sovereignty, and he's trying to get control back.
Control of his National Guard. Yeah, not immigration, National Guard. You almost have a point. You're just a little blurry there.
Well, the thing is that the National Guard, they're just there to protect ICE, and they're mainly protecting the federal buildings.
Okay, but they need consent. Like,
well,
didn't we
a problem.
Weren't we chanting like states' rights back in the day when Trump passed down, the ability for abortion to be banned to states?
Well, I do believe in state sovereignty. I do believe in that. But if Joe Biden is going to sit here and call for the federal government is solely responsible, then the
For the border.
Democrats are kind of confused in their beliefs. Is it
I
unconstitutional? Is it constitutional? What
Yeah,
is it?
let me help you out. So the border can't be enforced by a state. There you go. That's it.
Okay, but by if that's the case, then why is Gavin Newsom saying that it's unconstitutional and it goes against state sovereignty?
Because Trump is not enforcing the border in California. He's trying to address the protests with the use of the state's like military.
Well, so ICE is going in there, which is immigration matters,
Okay, but it's
which
not the
Joe
border.
Biden stated himself.
You're talking about the border
Joe
versus
Biden's
immigration. So you're already off.
so it doesn't matter if it's borders or immigration. It's immigration
It
matters.
absolutely does. No,
If
you're
that is federal, then where does it say that
okay.
other than your words?
Okay, so the border is under the purview of the federal government, and you're trying to conflate border with deportation. There you go, solved. Can the
Okay.
National Guard? Can
So
the excuse me? Hold on. Can the National Guard go to the border and say check someone's immigration status?
um if it's a
No.
I mean they did open a base over there along the border, so
Yeah, I know. They're pretty much neighborhood watch. They can't do anything.
okay. But if it affects the country, that's like their job. I mean, you take an oath to protect the Constitution under
Yeah, and if the Constitution
domestic,
says that you
foreign, and
can't do that
domestic.
specific action, then you can't do that. It doesn't mean you get to do whatever you want. Like
Okay,
you
so
can't do something
but
unlawful in
where
the
does
name
it
of
say
protecting the
that?
nation.
Can you name where it says that in the Constitution?
Okay. Article 1, Section 8 grants Congress the power to regulate immigration and naturalization. Supreme Court has affirmed that the immigration enforcement is a federal power, and while states may cooperate, they cannot be compelled to enforce federal immigration laws. There you go. There's the
Yes,
answer to
so
both
I'm right.
questions.
But
You're
I'm right
wrong. That's
because
literally
you
saying you're
said it's
wrong.
border, but you said border against immigration once they're already across the border. But it's
The
immigration
state
matters. So
cannot
I'm
they
right.
cannot be compelled to enforce federal immigration laws. So Gavin Newsom is correct there, and Abbott is incorrect there. And then Supreme Court has affirmed it just says Article 1 Section 8, you can't do it. Federal authority, they're the only ones who can enforce the border. States like Greg Abbott, Gavin Newsom, he can't go to the border and start like flipping through people and saying, "Show me your migration status, show me your paperwork." Gavin Newsom can't do that either. That's the law. That's not new.
Federal
So
can though, right?
correct. And what Abbott was doing
Okay.
for those of us who know, Abbott was doing a political theater so that he could say, "Oh, look, Biden stopped me from enforcing the border."
If
That's political theater.
these illegal immigrants, okay, I respect you, and I respect your opinion, but I don't respect being cut off when I'm trying to make a point. I won't interrupt you if you don't interrupt me. So, immigration matters. That means immigration as a whole. So it doesn't matter if they're crossing the border or if they're already across the border. So, in itself is federal. Gavin Newsom can't do that. And it was already put a pause, like after that one judge uh, appealed the night, and there was a pause put on it. So, yeah, they are allowed to do what they're doing. The thing that
Okay.
I don't agree with
A state
either
a state
is
cannot
the
be
way
compelled.
that
It says it right here
it's
in
being
Article 1
handled
Section 8.
with all of these riots. So then discuss that.
You're cutting out, bro.
And I have another question for you. Where is it? Can you hear me now?
There you go.
You there?
There you go.
Okay. So another question is where you're getting $50 fine and $250 fine. What? Where are you getting that from?
8 USC 1325.
Okay. So if you look at it correctly, it's actually a $5,000 fine or 6 months in jail.
5,000 is probably your second
It's not a
attempt.
$50 fine.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not. It's a first attempt. Look
There
it
you
up.
go. First attempt is 50 to $250.
It's not. I promise you that. Pull it up on the big screen. I want to see it.
There you go. Let's do this.
Okay.
One. There you go. Improper time replace. Civil penalties, $50, $250. There you go.
Okay. What site is that?
Cornell Law School.
Okay, that's Cornell Law School.
All
Why
right.
don't you look it up on .gov?
This is what the .gov shows. Saturn and 2. Uh, you can just I'll let you pull it up. I proved my point. I don't see it. I don't see it. The .gov is not giving me the penalty, so I'm just gonna leave it to you to find me the source.
Yeah, no problem. Give me 1 second.
Here's another source, findlaw.com. Same thing. 5250. Yeah.
I'm just waiting for my other phone to turn on. I apologize for the delay.
I'd trust Cornell over any other White House website these days. Yeah, I agree. If they could teach the law, I'm sure they know it.
It's starting up. Okay, here we go. Let me pull it up. Okay.
Trump just enacted something brand new.
Okay.
Enforcement of Alien Registration Act. The administration has started enforcing an 85-year-old law that requires non-citizens residing in the U.S. over 30 days to register with the federal government. Failure to register can lead to criminal charges, including a fine of $5,000, up to $5,000, or up to 6 months imprisonment. So the cap is 5,000, but it would have to be real bad, I'm assuming. Imagine putting someone in jail and making the federal government pay that jail $300 a day or $150 a day until it reaches 5,000. That'd be really fucking bad. We'd be poor.
Okay. Okay.
Chat, tap the screen. Let's get to like 25K.
So, okay. So here's where it's confusing, okay? So it does say in the beginning, at least a $50 and not more than $250 fine, right? But here's the thing. In 1991, subsection A, Public L 102232, substituted fines under Title 18 for fine to not more than $2,000 or if greater, the amount provided under Title 18. And
Did you know
that
that? Did you know
is
that?
on scodehouse.gov.
Did you know that jaywalking can be fined for a penalty up to $1,000?
Yeah, but that's jaywalking. So, like,
It's literally the same
what's the
thing. Walking where
difference?
you're not supposed to. It's the same thing.
Yeah. Okay. So, what's your point?
I think like no one's getting $1,000 fines for jaywalking. Nobody's getting a
Um,
$6,000 fine for crossing the border illegally.
how do you know that?
I can just assume. I don't know. You know what? I don't
So,
know
what
that.
if they're crossing the second time? What if they
Did you
cross the
did you know
third
that
time?
did you know that when Trump was in office, Title 42 was enacted and Remain in Mexico was enacted, that nobody could receive an additional fine for being caught a second, third, or anything after the first time. There were no punitive charges for being caught. Did you know that that was Trump's move on this?
So, did you know that in California that we have a law title 34, which allows people to loot stores and steal and not get any repercussions as long as it's under $900?
That's not true. That's how
Did
much
you
it
know that the
takes.
state of California
Lambert, I live in.
legalizes syringes and gives out syringes
That's good.
to homeless people?
It's called harm reduction. And Lambert, did you know that I'm in Texas and it takes up to $2,500 to do the same thing here in Texas? That it's not a felony until you steal $2,500. So it sounds like California's more strict.
Did you know that California made a solicitation by prostitution legal?
Good.
Why is that good?
Why is it
You're not
bad?
worried about spreading diseases? Did you also know that they changed if you knowingly pass HIV or AIDS, that it is no longer considered murder? It is a misdemeanor.
I didn't know that. It sounds like that was being
Yeah,
weaponized.
it was passed by Jerry Brown.
Cool.
So that's a party you voted for.
I love them.
Yeah, well, it just shows what kind of person you guys are. So if it's a civil thing, right?
It's
So
not.
then
It's
that means
criminal.
it's not that. No, I'm talking about like with this border, the fine, right? Like you're
Yeah.
saying that it's a civil case
No,
and
it's a
it's not
criminal
that much of a
case.
big deal. It's what?
It's criminal.
So it's not civil?
No,
You said it was civil before.
it's criminal.
Are you saying it's not now?
My stance right
Okay,
now
but
is
I've
it's
heard you
criminal.
before say it's civil.
Okay, it's criminal.
It's criminal,
Mhm.
correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so we can agree to that. Okay, so what you're saying now is crossing the border is a criminal crime
Yeah.
illegally.
Sure.
Okay, so if you don't like a crime, if you don't like a law, does that give you a right to disobey it?
I mean, no, but I think that people break the law all the time, And it's up to us to be able to discern like where we want to focus on law enforcement, because at a certain point it becomes cost preventative. And if we want to take hundreds of billions of dollars to cry about people stepping over imaginary lines versus things that actually harm this country, I think that's all on you. That's your feelings. But if you guys are going to say, listen, if Trump commits fraud and he's a con man and he commits 34 felonies, those things are no big deal because everybody does those things. But when it comes to migrants crossing the border, you really want to enforce it, even though I don't really know what the bad outcomes are.
So, what happened with the? Didn't Trump go to court? Didn't he handle his? Didn't he go to court and deal with it and
And
take it like a man?
he is a
Didn't the
34-time
judge
felon.
say?
And no,
Yeah.
he's
Does
running.
that make it a crime for us to vote for him?
He's running. He ran from all of his other court cases. He evaded those court cases because you cannot pursue a sitting president. So no, he didn't address it, and I bet you don't even know
But he
half of what
followed
he was accused
everything
of.
legality. Is he a fugitive right now?
No, I guess he's not. Good stuff. I mean, in fact, he's
So what
almost
are you
immune from the
claiming? You're
law.
claiming he's a fugitive. If he evaded, then that would make him a fugitive. So how's he a president if he's a fugitive?
I didn't say he was a fugitive.
Well, you're
Why
saying
is
he
it
evaded all of his
he
legal
he
proceedings.
evaded due
So,
process? Yeah, he evaded the
so
like
then why isn't he a
because in the one instance that you become a president, you can completely get to evade all sort of
No,
liability.
you can still be a president and be behind bars. The
No,
judge made his decision.
no, you cannot pursue a sitting president for crime.
But he was convicted before he became president.
He was not sentenced before he became president elect, and he made sure of that.
So what was the exact date that he was sentenced?
January 11th this year.
January 11th? Okay. Well, that's pretty crazy, but I'll give you that. Now, the does that make it illegal for us to vote for him though if he's a
I
felon?
didn't say it was illegal, but I'm just saying you guys are hypocrites because in one case you guys are sticklers for the law in a sense that we should make sure that everybody has like a check mark next to their immigration status. But when it comes to Trump doing things unlawfully to, I don't know, trick you guys into thinking he's a good guy, or maybe trying to steal the election with fake slates of electors, or withholding classified documents in Mar-a-Lago, or I don't know, overstating his self-worth to get like better terms on his loans, then I mean that's on y'all. You guys love being lied
So
to. Go for it.
who's the victim
There doesn't need to be a
on his
victim.
34 felonies?
Oh, it's 34
There doesn't need to
felonies.
be a victim. Yeah,
So
34. Who's the
so when
victim?
in the event that you're doing fraud in election with election finance, the people and the lack of transparency are the victims.
Okay, so what were the 34 felonies for?
Election finance fraud.
Okay, but what exactly did he do?
He was caught saying that there were certain line items in his payments to Michael Cohen that were for legal fees, when in fact they were to pay someone off and hide the truth about the nature of his relationship with somebody.
Okay. Well, I don't know all the facts behind all that, but I certainly it doesn't affect me in any way.
Okay.
What does affect me though is when we have other countries that are chanting unaliving to America citizens, and we have people traveling all over the country that are from specific T groups that specifically want to harm and
Are you talking about right-wing domestic
the
terrorists?
U.S. No, because we're not the ones out rioting or looting. We're not the ones burning down cars
You guys are
and
the
looting
top
businesses.
12 most violent domestic criminals in the United States. The first instance of left-leaning people, or the 13th place. It's like people who are fighting for animal
Yeah,
rights.
I really doubt that.
It's true.
I really doubt that.
Can you name a left-wing domestic terrorist group?
A left wing, I think a terrorist is a terrorist.
Okay, what do you think a
If
terrorist
there's a right
is?
wing terrorist, somebody who flies planes into buildings,
Okay, why would they do
Somebody
that?
who
What makes that a terrorist act?
to terrorize, to unalive people in America. And what about the people who tried to unalive Donald Trump?
Right wingers?
Those weren't right wingers.
They were both right wingers.
They just identified as a right winger to twist it around. If you look at their profile pictures and everything from their school pictures, they weren't right wingers.
Their parents, their family, they were the kid was in a rifle club. He had his
He was
classmates also said,
trans.
oh, he wasn't. What?
Yeah, he was.
You
Look it
fell.
up.
He
Look
wasn't.
up pictures.
That's literally
Look at
not true.
pictures.
You're gonna have to prove it to me.
He's wearing female clothes.
Yeah, you're probably gonna talk about this picture that was passed around on Twitter that wasn't him.
No, it was him.
He was not. No.
Yeah.
Whatever helps you sleep at night. But
Well,
you can't name. So first of all, a domestic anybody who is a teist is somebody who does violence aimed at making with a political statement or striking fear. That's what a terrorist is. To aim at changing or instilling a political or ideology
you guys
into
did the
your
BLM
victims.
riots in 2020, tore down Minneapolis. You guys are tearing down
during Trump
LA because you don't like Donald Trump.
No, because we don't like Antifa kidnapping
how are
people.
We the terrorists?
Because
okay, so you're talking about
Antifa kidnapping
how are
people.
We,
because
okay, so talking about the 1798 Aliens Enemy Act, right?
Mm-hmm. Wartime law.
Kidnapping people. What you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay. So that means that they don't have to have a due process.
Yeah, but that also means we have to be in the middle of a war or an invasion, and you guys can't substantiate that, can you?
So whenever you have illegal immigrants coming over here and terrorizing entire apartment buildings like they did in Colorado, when you have people who are trying to set other people on fire.
Let me help you out. The Colorado thing, the sheriff of that town came out and said, no, these were all just rumors. And so did the governor. Nobody could substantiate it. The apartment complex and the property owner was caught lying because they were about to lose that apartment complex and that property. And they went and interviewed all of the tenants of those properties, and it was just a slumlord that made up a lie. Complete lie, and it's your fault for not Googling this. Try again.
It's my fault. I'll look it up. I'll do my research. That's fine. That's not a problem. So do you know what Article 2 is, the vesting clause?
Tell me.
So basically it gives the executive power given to the President of the United States. So when we vote him in, we give him these executive powers. And so he got voted in by more than half of the country.
It's false.
So if you like it or not,
49%.
He's the president. If you like it or not, he's the president.
He's the president, not the dictator. Correct.
He's not a dictator.
And why is he trying to be one?
He's not trying to be one.
Do you think he should be able to do whatever he wants because 49% of y'all voted him in?
I love the fact that he's helping Israel take down Iran. Something
he's a warmonger?
Should have been done a long time ago.
I thought no new wars was his shtick.
Did you know that Iran, they are supporters of T groups like Hamas?
Good for you. Very good. That's correct. Yeah, and did you know that Trump pulled us out of the Iran nuclear deal and gave them nuclear capabilities?
Good.
In his first administration?
No, he pulled them out, and he actually took out one of their leaders and threatened them.
Okay, but now they have
not, and and even though they were going against the deal, and they were enriching their uranium.
There's no proof of that. And he's also accepting $400 million jets from people who also fund Hamas. So you can't have it both ways.
And also Biden and Obama gave Iran funding, gave them money.
No, they didn't. That's a lie.
Or released their funding. Yeah, they did.
And then they froze it again. Never got any of it.
Yeah, they did.
No, you're talking about the money that went from South Korea to a bank in Qatar. It was frozen again. They never got any of it. It was $6 million of their own money.
No, so you're backing up Iran?
No,
It sounds like you are.
I'm just telling you what the truth is. You
That's
can't lie
not
on my platform.
American.
Thank you.
Well, I'm not lying on your platform.
If you're lying
I
about
just think
those
that there's a
monies
lot of
being given
misinformation.
from Biden, you're lying, and you're also talking about somebody who accepted a $400 million jet from the people who fund Hamas. If you're against Hamas, you should be against
It's
Trump.
not his jet though. It's not his
It
jet.
will be part of his presidential library, which we'll use for
So
personal
who
use after
owns
he's
it?
done.
So who owns that library?
I'm going to guess the United States technically, but it's
You're
his
gonna
plane.
guess? You're guessing
I'm
now?
sorry. I'm sorry if this is a nice loophole for you guys to feel comfortable for our president to
It's
take
not a
bribes.
loophole.
It is.
Does Ronald Reagan own the Reagan Library?
No, he's dead. Does it matter?
Did he though? Did he though?
I don't know. I don't know. No.
Is he allowed to use that plane for his personal use? Was he when
I
he was
don't,
alive?
are you guys okay with, like, can Biden start taking things as long as he puts them in his presidential library next time he's president?
Well, apparently Biden can force people to take the COVID vaccine.
How did he do that?
He mandated it.
Oh
He
yeah.
mandated it.
Can you tell me
Any
where he did that?
federal employees that had over 150 employees mandated it, and then the Supreme Court shut it down. And then also Biden lied and said that he was going to forgive every student loan, and that didn't happen.
And then the courts stopped him, right? Did Biden tell us to impeach those judges that stopped him? Annie, thank you so much.
Well, whenever a judge is trying to help illegal immigrants, then they should have their consequences.
Why?
If somebody breaks the law, you don't think people should deal with the consequences behind it?
We should just give them due
So if we break
process.
that law, let's just break every law. Why not?
Yeah, that gets real messy. We're just American patriots. We believe in the constitutional order of things and believe in giving them due process.
Obviously not. You believe in breaking Title 8, Section 1325. That's criminal. You said so yourself.
Yeah, I think they should all of them pay their $50 fines.
I think all of them should be deported back.
Okay,
which is part of that.
You disagree with Trump because
you get fined and you go back.
Okay, well, Trump says that we shouldn't do that. So are you behind him now?
I'm not behind that. I think he should have stuck to his guns.
Why do you think he did that?
Because all you guys are rioting, looting, breaking into buildings.
So we need to keep doing that
and calling it a peaceful protest.
So we need to keep doing that so he stops doing his shit. Got it.
I feel like that law enforcement should have gotten more involved and arrested every single one of those people rioting in the streets.
Well, what would you feel about if the next president came in that was Democrat, came in, just completely pardoned every one of them? How would you feel about that?
So now you're bringing up hypotheticals?
I'm talking about Trump pardoning all the J6 domestic terrorists.
Okay, Biden pardoned and granted clemency to 1,500. Do you know who Shaolin Jin is?
No.
He got arrested for over 1,500 images of porn depicting child being essayed. And Joe Biden
Ryan, thank you for the 20.
And he was a Chinese national. And Biden...
So you're talking about somebody who I believe he was sent back to his home country and is still in jail?
Also,
hold on.
Okay, so
stop steamrolling. This person, the reason why he's doing this is because Trump is this weird psychotic dictator who likes to enforce the federal death penalty, and I believe it was like 75 years since we had done that. And I think even just like a few days before he left office, Trump like, hey, go kill another one. Like when he's mad, it sounds like he just likes his, hey, enforce a death penalty on somebody. So Biden didn't release him from jail or prison. He basically said, hey, listen, you're not going to have the death penalty.
Okay, so Biden traded a warmonger nicknamed Monster, who was a arms dealer. It's for a basketball star who knowingly broke a law in Russia and got arrested.
Oh, dang. Did you know that
You're
Trump...
okay with that?
Trump...
So you don't care about that? So you
not
don't
really,
care about
no.
that? You don't mind?
You know that guy's probably not doing too...
That just shows your character.
He's not doing too hot. He's still in jail in Russia.
You're just showing your true
Did you know that? He's in jail in Russia?
Showing your true colors. Why are you showing your true colors?
Thank you. Did you know that
So you
Trump?
don't like America.
Did you know that
You don't
Trump?
like America.
You don't like the Constitution. Did you know that Trump?
Nah,
Uh,
I served in the military for 6 years, but I'm a combat vet.
yeah, and you don't even know what you fought for.
Yeah,
Did you
I
know that
went and
Andrew
I
Tate?
worked
Did you
my
know that
way up,
Andrew
and I'm
Tate and his
successful
brother
in
had been pulled
society.
into America and pardoned by Trump, so that they could escape being arrested for sex trafficking? Did you know that?
So you're gonna deflect now from this the monster, a known arms dealer responsible for
Who's
millions
sitting
and
in
millions of lives in other
who's sitting in
countries.
Russian prison right now?
So you're gonna deflect. Now you're gonna gaslight.
Wait, if he's sitting in prison right now, what's the big deal?
Is who sitting in prison and what?
The guy, the arms dealer?
He's sitting in prison?
Yeah.
Oh, thank God. You probably don't like that though.
Yeah, I do. I'm just glad that we
Did you make sure he got his due process?
I'm glad that we got Brittany Griner back. I know that you guys probably just don't like people in the LGBTQ community, but she's an American
Oh
citizen.
no, you got it all wrong with me on that one, bud. So I don't mind LGBTQ. I don't care if you're happy. You know, I will respect every single one in the trans community. I will not disrespect them. You have the right to choose who you want to be and what you want to be. The only thing that I would say that people are afraid of, I'm not necessarily worried about it because I protect my son and I'm a good parent and I teach him what's going on in this world. And it's my choice, so I do teach him Christian values. Now my
You
thing
indoctrinated your
is
kid.
that um we're not
Nice.
debating my faith, okay? You can keep that opinion to yourself.
Your poor
So
child.
my my whole thing is that whenever you start, you know, doing this whole like sharing the bathrooms and whatnot, it opens the door for somebody who is a child predator
Hmm.
to come in and essay
I
someone in
want
the
to hold you.
bathroom.
I want to hold you to this point right now.
So do you know who Lilo is? She's actually a boy, but she goes into all these different Disneyland, Disney World, and she takes all these pictures in the female's bathroom, and she's a boy.
I saw that. She's a woman though.
And you're okay with that?
I
Oh, she's
love.
a woman?
Yeah.
No, no, she's not a woman.
I want to show you something.
See, you're showing your character.
I want to show you something. This is the people that are involved in sex crimes involving children. We've got one drag queen, 5 trans people, and then we've got a whole bunch of religious people, probably Christians, and a whole bunch of Republicans too.
No, I would say
67%.
Catholics.
Now they're Christians.
I think Catholics.
It's not
No.
just Catholic.
No, look that one up on a different thing.
Okay. The Republicans, 67%. Can you tell me why you guys are so focused on trans people when they've committed 5 crimes when it's mostly 846 religious people?
I'm more of protecting kids.
Then why are you
Right?
religious?
Like you can be who you are, whatever you want. Like if that makes you happy, then I'm happy for you.
Catholics are Christians.
But I also want to protect my son.
Then why
I
do you
wanna
take them? Do
protect
you take
these
them to
kids.
church?
And I don't think that they're bad people. I don't think that they're bad people.
I know you just don't have any reason to say you're protecting your son from something that doesn't happen. They don't do any of
No,
that
you
stuff.
just don't like the fact that I supported Trump. And so you're trying to come out with all these different little jabs, and it's actually quite
I just want to
childish.
know why you think trans people are doing this to children when there's no
I don't
data.
think trans people are doing it to children.
You just
I
said that they
think
could be in the
people
bathroom.
are.
You said that they could be
No,
hurt in the
that's not what I
bathroom.
said.
That is literally
That's
what
not
you
what I
said.
said.
Do I have to go back and
Well,
find the clip?
are you gonna let me speak
Go
on
ahead.
my own behalf? So I think there are people out there that are making the trans community look bad by using it as a tactic to attack our kids.
Okay, where do you see this happening?
I see a possibility of it happening.
So it's not happening.
I don't know. I'm sure it is happening.
It's not
When
happening.
you have a male who's dressed up as a female going into all these different restrooms, which they have a petition on her, by the way, and she's taken all these pictures in the female's bathroom. That's very highly inappropriate. Now, if I saw that person walking on the street and I knew nothing about them, I would be extremely polite to that person. But the second I find out she's taken advantage of it, then I don't like her.
Would you condemn anybody who walks in on like women who are like undressed?
So you're talking about Donald Trump, right? With
Why
that
would you
whole
say that?
pageant thing? Well, because I know that's what you bring up.
Oh,
That's what
okay.
you all bring up.
Oh, so you it's okay when Trump does it, but when some person on Instagram does it, you go crazy?
Well, we look at that situation and we look out, and during his first term, he had the highest leading efforts in combating child trafficking than any other sitting president.
Wha Okay, but he was best friends with that
So,
the guy with the island.
so, so I care more about the fact that he has the leading efforts in combating child trafficking,
Where can I see this? Because
and
as
he
far as
had
I
the most
know,
executive orders. So that kind of makes me feel like there's got to be
didn't
more to
he
that
traffic?
story.
So his
Yeah,
no his zero
Donald Trump
tolerance.
never trafficked anybody. Are you
Excuse me.
kidding me?
Of course he did. He
Who did he traffic?
so he had a zero tolerance policy when he was first president, and basically he would take children and jail them separately from their family, and then he would deport their family members and have them trialed separately, and then he would go ask the children, hey, where do you belong? And they wouldn't even know what the fuck he was saying because they were maybe like an infant or 2 years old, and then 1,300 children just didn't have a home. He lost 1,300 children.
Okay, so let me
So
ask
he's
you
real good at
this.
that. His efforts were just far and wide.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Okay, if I'm driving with my 8-year-old son in the car and I'm drinking alcohol and I get pulled over for a DUI,
Hmm.
is my son gonna get separated from me?
Yeah, your family would be called and they would have to come get him.
Yeah, but why can't they call this child's family? Because they're in Mexico.
Guys, if you want uppies, I'm
So
so
what do we do
sorry.
at that point?
I'm not going to let people uppies real quick. I got this. So what you're saying is something that has to do with like sending them to someone with their family. What Trump did was basically he did it for a deterrent. So like if you maybe crossed like the Oklahoma state line from
Didn't
Texas,
Obama build cages?
he didn't use them like Trump did.
Yeah, but he built them. Why did he build them?
I don't know. I'm sure somebody in Germany built
Huh.
the facilities
Maybe
they
they
used
were for
as.
dogs.
Yeah, they were for like people being detained. They were
Yeah.
for spillover. Yes, they weren't for separating children
Mhm.
from their families. Yeah.
So, as a parent, I wouldn't find it very smart to take your young kids and go out into a field and try to sneak over the border in the middle of the desert
Yeah.
with nothing but the shoes on your feet
Yeah.
and clothes
That's
on your
that's a
back.
pretty bad take. So what?
Do you know how many people they found unalived doing that?
A
They
bajillion.
found a guy that was laying in a um by a little
I'm
creek.
sure you're a real Christian and you probably care a lot about people who need like food and shelter and are
Well,
escaping like
so since you want to
persecution.
bring my faith into this, I see no problem.
If you
Are you
and
gonna
your
mute me?
child, Lambert, if you and your child were in a country that was being overrun by gangs and violence and poverty, would you look at your child and be like, you know what? We could go to safety, but there's just a $50 fine if we
So where
cross
are
the
they doing
border.
that in Mexico?
Excuse me. It doesn't
Where are
have to be
they
in
doing
Mexico.
that in
It doesn't have
Canada?
to be in Mexico. But if would you're saying that you wouldn't cross the border because there was a $50 fine between you and freedom? You wouldn't do that?
No, I wouldn't.
You're a bad
I'd figure
dad.
out another way.
I would say you're a
See, I
bad dad.
stand up and fight for myself. That's why I went in the military.
Sure. You
See, I went to another country
yeah.
and helped fight their stupid war,
Yeah, good stuff.
which Trump advocated us getting out,
Nice. And then he
which
totally
Biden did a
butchered it.
shitty job of it.
I'm sure you
No,
know all
Biden
about that,
butchered it.
Lambert.
That wasn't Trump's plan to pull out like that.
It absolutely was, Lambert, and I'm so
No,
sorry I'm
it
about to
wasn't.
school you
No,
on
it wasn't.
this.
And the lawyers came out and said the same thing. Do
Okay.
you think it's patriotic that Trump did that, or that Biden did that way, leaving
I
all that equipment behind?
I think
When
I
Trump
think
came back into office, he also called for their resignation.
Lambert, I want you to tell me everything you know about Afghanistan's pullout so I can school you on it as hard as you've ever been schooled. Tell me.
Hmm.
I'm gonna school you so
So
fucking hard. You're probably gonna
why
get
don't you
kicked.
show me your facts? Show me your facts. I'll listen.
U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan. This is from our government. President Biden's
Okay.
choices for how to execute the withdrawal from Afghanistan were severely constrained by conditions created by his predecessor. By the way, Trump was one who negotiated this pullout, which is completely
Yeah.
wrong about what you said. You said it was Biden. Sorry, it's called the
No,
Doha. It's
Trump
called
negotiated.
excuse me, it's called the Doha Accords, and he negotiated this with
Trump
only
negotiated.
shut your fucking mouth. He negotiated this with the Taliban without consulting the Afghan government. That's weird, isn't it? Why would you do that? And then he invited the Taliban to the Camp David on the anniversary of 9/11. Why the fuck would you do that? And then he advocated for 5,000 Taliban soldiers to be released by the Afghan government against the Afghan government's wishes. Why the fuck would you do that? And then those people went and broke out more people from a terrorist group called ISIS-K, and they suicided bombed us on the way out. Trump withdrew our soldiers from 9,600 to 2,500 around Christmas. He said we're going to have them home by Christmas. He never did because he was bitching and moaning about losing the election, and he threw it in Biden's lap without a peaceful transfer of power. And they were supposed to be out by May 1st. Biden had no idea what the fuck was going on when he won presidency and was inaugurated on January 21st. So he had no idea what to do. He had to go get his multiple federal agencies to do investigations on this so he can figure out how to handle it. And then Biden said, you know what, we're going to have them home by 9/11. 20-year anniversary, and he pulled them out in early August, and he did so with as much as he could do. There's literally nothing else he could do. Introducing more troops put us in a stalemate because Trump tried that before, and it ended with even more troops that were there, ended up in a stalemate. This was all on Trump, my friend.
Okay, you done?
Here's your leash.
So, okay. So, every single president before Donald Trump made promises that they were going to pull the United States out of Afghanistan,
I
right?
want you to address the Afghanistan pullout.
What?
Address what I just said.
Well, I have to do research on it myself.
Yeah,
if
you do.
you're right, then
Sounds
you're
like
right.
you do.
Then you're right. I'll do that. That's fine. I'm okay with that. I'll do more research on it. You're right. I should. But it doesn't change the fact that I'm proud of who I voted for.
The man who politicized soldiers' deaths that he was responsible for, you're proud of that?
So Biden said that no soldiers were lost under his watch, but 13 of them were lost under his watch. So when Biden was office, he couldn't facilitate.
How many people died under Trump's watch?
He couldn't go in there.
How many people died under Trump's watch?
I'm not talking about Donald Trump.
I don't give a fuck
right
what you're talking about. I'm asking you right now. How many soldiers
we
died
were
under
at
Trump's
war.
watch? How many soldiers
We
died
were
under?
at war.
How many soldiers died under Trump's watch?
We were at an ongoing war for the last 20 fucking years.
So the answer is 65. You don't care unless they happened underneath a president you don't like. They're politicized, and that's what I rest my case.
But Trump, that war didn't start under President Trump. How many died under Obama's watch?
He botched
How
the
many
pullout.
died?
He botched the pullout. And then blamed Biden. It's exactly something Trump would do. Botching the pullout and then blaming Biden for how bad it went.
Over there,
it's exactly what he would do.
Said, "I know where you live. If you harm one hair on any of our people,
and now he's best friends. Now he's best friends with Putin.
Weak old Biden, who can't even stand up straight, comes in and now decides to say, "Hey, we're gonna pull him out at midnight."
And now he's best friends with Putin.
At midnight,
and now he's best friends.
$80 billion worth of equipment over there.
Lambert, you don't even know what you're talking about. It's 17 billion.
Yeah, I do know what I'm talking about.
You don't. You sadly don't.
No, you don't.
Did you know that
you have
Putin?
No morals.
Putin had a 200,000.
Out once.
Shut the fuck up, Lambert. I don't care. You're annoying.
Yeah,
Putin had a 200,000.
You're a fucking bitch.
You're a puss, dude. Jody, thank you for the $40. Putin had a $200,000 bounty on American soldiers' heads, and you're over there fucking glazing him still. Trump's over there fucking glazing him too. What the fuck you're talking about? Hello? Botched like Laura Loomer's face. Love that, Brandon. Hello?
Hello.
Hello, are you a Trump supporter?
I am not. I honestly wanted to say something to Lambert, but his little bitch ass had to scream, complain, and
The only thing that makes me really mad is when I'm trying to speak and people like Lambert calmly just continue going. That's what grinds my gears. Plus, he just sounded like a bitch. Hello?
Hello.
Are you a Trump supporter?
I'm an independent, but I do agree with some of his policies that I'd like to debate.
All right. What do you like about Trump?
Um, his immigration policy is the one that I wanted to debate with you. But at first, I wanted to know what your immigration stance is or what you believe in.
I think that we have a decent border and that we should have passed maybe some things to add soldiers to the border or more troops to the border, add some technology to scan for hard shrugs at the border, maybe give more judges to adjudicate claims properly. I
Hmm.
think all of those things would have been helpful. Let me ask you something now. Do you think that we should deport people to an El Salvadorian prison for the rest of their lives with no due process for something that's usually a $50 fine?
Okay, I'd like to break that down a little bit. I do believe in deportations of people that cross the border here illegally. I do think that there is a proper way to get into the country. When it comes to deporting them to an El Salvadorian prison, I am particularly not in favor of that. I don't agree with that
Okay, that's
policy. I
Trump's
do
border
think that
policy. That's his
yes,
immigration
yes,
policy.
yeah. That's why I consider myself an independent. I feel like I'm more of, in the middle, but I will say that they should be deported back to their own home country, and I do think that it's like when you say you commit a crime, you get the consequence for it. If you cross into a country illegally, the crime for that is you get deported back to the country you're
It's not
from.
true.
And okay, what's the crime for it then?
It's a
Or
50 to
what
200
should be the
it's a 50 to $250 fine.
okay. But if it's not to deport them, then every regardless of political affiliation, every president has deported people back to their home country.
Yeah, of course.
So yeah,
Yeah,
so
Biden probably Trump will probably never beat Biden's numbers. Biden did it
I
more than
mean,
anybody.
it's also can be said that Biden also let in the most amount of people, so relatively that
You would
it
have
kind
to
of makes sense why
substantiate that
Biden.
Biden let extra people in that weren't allowed. There's nothing that says that.
Okay, and you mentioned due process. I do want to say I agree that there should be due process, but you can't say that this is something new that Trump is doing. This is something that has happened under Obama's presidency when he had expedited removal, and then this was a law that
Expedited
was passed
removal
by
is just
Clinton.
fine. Expedited removal is just fine. You have to be here for under 2 years. But Trump is not doing
Hmm.
that. And Trump is doing something new, in which I just pointed out. He's sending them to prison for the rest of their lives.
That's not every single person that is being
It
deported.
doesn't
That's
matter. If you win the
criminals.
lottery and you go to prison for the rest of your life, like Trump has done, you're fucked. You're cooked. And that's why nobody's coming. That's what's stopping. And that's what the deterrence that Trump is using to make the border have no people trying to come. I think that is disgusting. It's turned us into like a terrorist state, into a police
Wait,
state.
you
I think it's
said,
gross.
uh, could you repeat the last part about the border again
Trump is
that
putting
you just said?
people. That's why
Uh-huh.
so few people are approaching the border.
I think that's a good thing. I think that it is a good thing that we have very few people that are
I
crossing
know
into the country
the
illegally.
outcome, I'm sure, is fantastic for you, but for Trump to do such dictatorial things is un-American, right? It's against the law.
As in deporting people to another prison outside into another country. Is that
Yeah,
what you
for the
mean?
rest of their lives. Yeah.
Yes, yes, I will concede to that. Yes, that is
Okay,
something that
so
shouldn't
we
happen.
wouldn't have the low numbers without that, right?
No, we can still have low numbers
No,
without
we
that
wouldn't
if people
have
were
low
just
numbers if
deported back.
Trump didn't do that, right?
Low numbers of people crossing into the country? No, we would, but it's just
How do
that
you
they
know
would just
that?
go to their home country.
No,
It says they would just be deported to their home
we
country.
were already deporting people to their home countries during Biden. Trump is doing the
But we were
extras
not,
part.
we,
Trump was
no,
already doing
I
the extra
don't,
part.
the border was open under Biden.
You can't substantiate. Listen, I'm so sorry to break this to you, man. Anybody who says this has never been able to tell me or make sense of that whatsoever. You can't tell me a law that changed. You can't tell me a thing Biden did or said to the Border Patrol to
Okay,
tell them to loosen the borders. And I can show you the
okay.
statistics. Excuse me. I will
If
show you
Biden,
the
okay, yeah, sure.
statistics
Hmm.
where Biden deported and expelled people immediately at the border more than Trump. He was more strict at the border.
As soon as Trump came into office, one of the first things he did was talk with Canada to increase the amount of agents at the border.
Okay, and
'Cause- And
Biden
he
did the same
the
thing. He got $1.5 billion from Mexico to do the same thing, and he didn't have to do it with tariffs.
and okay, then how do you explain the 10 million people that were let into the country
They
illegally
weren't.
under Biden's watch?
This is where comprehension comes into play. Okay,
Okay.
so Trump always espouses this 12 million number where all of these people came all the way into the country, an illegal crossing. So to the unknowing person, to the politically illiterate, you hear 12 million illegal entries that people go, oh my God, people came all the way into the country and now they're here and amongst us. And that's a lie. Trump is a con man. He's a very good one. And he's convinced somehow MAGA, after 4 years of spouting this in his rallies, that this is the truth and there's no other way or reality to this. But here's the truth. In order to enforce the border, you have to first come and illegally cross. So all 12 million of these people were stopped. All 12 million were stopped and talked to by Border Patrol. And then exactly half of them didn't meet the criteria to come into the immigration system and they were expelled immediately. That's the truth of it. And Biden did it more than Trump.
Okay. Okay. But so do you believe that people should be let in from the border at all? Or I mean like okay,
Yes.
all right, I see what you're saying. Okay.
Here's a little chart. I brought it up 3 times today. Here it is. Here's the numbers. This is from Customs Border Protection. The people who endorse Trump,
Hmm.
Biden, expel, repatriate percentage 50%. The border was not wide open. Biden literally filtered through all of them. He didn't change any way that the Customs Border Protection acted in any way. He said, hey, do your job. They did it. There just so happened to be a lot of people come to the border.
Hmm.
And Trump kept shouting
And
this, look at all these people, look at all these people. And for people who just don't know anything about this, they're, oh my God.
so would you say that under the people that were let in, or the criminals that were let in under Biden's presidency, would you then say that they were let in earlier, or what about the ones that arrived that were criminals that like MS-13 or people that have actually committed heinous crimes in this country?
So again, you're just like kind of alluding to the fact that there are some bad actors here. I don't know how to explain that away. 29 people committed murder last year that were undocumented migrants. It's the smallest demographic of murders. We had 17,000 total. And you guys put one person on repeat on a news channel for like years, Lake and Riley. Uh, it's literally a non-issue. It's just something to get you guys to vote for them.
Okay. I mean, I will say my exact stance on immigration does come down to increase in having immigration judges of expedited processing times for like asylum cases as well as like visa applications and everything, and more pathways to citizenship. But then alongside that, you can match that by having closed borders and deportation of people here illegally
Closed borders
because
and open. Anybody who says that one of those two words, closed borders, open borders,
mm,
it breaks my brain. It's
all right,
nonsensical. What
let
is
me
a
rephrase.
fucking
Let me
closed? What
rephrase.
is that? What is a
Let me
closed?
rephrase.
We let people in every day for work permits, for work visas, that are simply traveling. They're tourists. Why would we? We would literally, our economy would just collapse.
Yes,
That makes
yes.
no.
Let
It's
me
incoherent.
rephrase. Yes, I'll rephrase. By closed border, I mean higher level of security at the border, such that people cannot sneak in whatsoever.
That will be now. That will never ever happen. That you will never have
Or
a zero
okay,
illegal.
you can't have zero. You
Yeah.
can't have zero, but a number that is as low as Trump has it at the moment.
Okay, he's turned it into a terrorist state. So yes, it's pretty low. Like, you know what? We would also have zero stolen cars if all of a sudden people who were even accused of stealing cars without due process were their entire family and their children, their grandchildren, and so on and so forth were all imprisoned and forced into prison labor for the rest of their lives. We would have zero
Mhm.
car theft.
Okay.
But we don't do that. We're not a country of terrorism.
All right. I have another question. How do you feel about people that are undocumented that take away what do you call it, resources from American citizens? For example, like in New York, when you have so much money that goes towards housing people, undocumented
Okay,
immigrants in hotels
this is
and
another
food stamps
point
and all that.
that you guys have been intentionally confused on. What they do is they take cameras and they're like, look at all these people, they're illegal immigrants and they're getting free stuff. And then it comes to find out
Mhm.
that literally if you're an undocumented migrant, you have no access to anything for free because you don't have a social security number, and that's completely fucking dumb. And those are all asylum seekers following the legal process, the thing you guys cry for them to do so much.
In California, for example, if you are undocumented, you are allowed health care by the state, and that is
God
paid for
forbid,
by
if
the
your
state.
arm's chopped off and you go seek emergency care, they're not going to check your migration status. That's stupid.
And when it was when they were questioned in Congress, many of the states said it was a couple of $1 billion that they had put towards.
315 super chatted
Thank you so much. And you
$9.99.
guys are all about states' rights, and that's a state's right to do that, right? State sovereignty. You guys are all about states' rights.
Okay, fair. I mean, again, I do want to say that it's just I don't support either candidate. I do think that both of them take a lot of what their opinions are to the extremes. That's why I fall in the independent section. It's just
Can you tell me the
I did
most
want to get
extreme?
your.
Can you tell me the most extreme thing Kamala was offering?
I actually okay. This may just be being uneducated, but when I was listening to the campaign speeches, I didn't hear much of her policies at all. Most of hers was social issues that she brought up, which I personally
What
didn't.
social issues did
Uh,
she bring up?
well, the number one that she brought up most often was abortion, when that's something that Kamala nor Trump can change at the moment,
That's not true.
anyways. The only way they can change it is to have the Supreme Court rule on it again, but they just did, and the
That's not
Supreme
true.
Court wouldn't rule. Okay, the other way is for them to have an amendment passed, which is not going to
That's not
happen
true
because
either,
there's.
dude.
All right, what other way could abortion
Pass a
be
bill through the
brought
House,
back?
the Congress, and the
That
Senate.
if the Supreme Court ruled it as
You don't know
something
what
for
you're
the
talking
states,
about.
what would the bill do?
That's not what the Supreme Court ruled.
The Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade and gave abortion back to the states. In
That
order to
was
bring it back to the federal level, it
okay.
would have to be done through an
The
amendment now.
Supreme Court ruling for that was not that in text saying now abortion is left up to the states and it has to be the state. That is not what the law said. Basically, it just said that privacy is not a constitutional right, and therefore it was not protected federally to have access to abortion because it's no one's business. That's what that meant. So if we passed something through, by the way, if we passed something through Congress and it was a law, we could literally just change what the law says that the Supreme Court passed. So like if Supreme Court ruled that privacy is no longer in the law, we could pass a law that says privacy is now federally protected. Like it doesn't mean anything. Congress can only interpret the laws. They can interpret uh, decisions and court cases that are really hard or really tricky to see if they fall in line with the Constitution or the law. But we can write new laws and say what the law is through Congress and through the Senate.
When Kamala was mentioning bringing back abortion to the so you're saying that Kamala would have been able to accomplish getting abortion
You
back
could
to a
write a
federal level?
yes, yeah, you could write a law that said abortion is now protected for all women, all 9 months up until birth, every single state. That would have been a law. You could pass it. Yes.
Okay. I do think that her focus on social issues is a reason where I didn't see myself aligning with, because I
Okay.
do think that, or and the same with a lot of Americans.
Okay, Trump spent $200 million trying to trick you guys into thinking trans people were all up in everybody's sports when there's only 10 of them out of 510,000 people in that league. He also spent a whole bunch of money convincing you guys that people are murdering people from south of the border, people coming over here and stealing your jobs and graping everybody, and that they're vermin, and that they're eating dogs and cats, and that
Yes.
all of this shit.
Mhm.
And then Kamala had an 82-page thing saying exactly where economic policies were. Trump's looks like it was written by a fifth grader, and I'm not kidding.
Uh, when you have okay, most Americans are most likely not going to be reading the 82-page document that Kamala put out. They're probably going to be tuning into the campaign speeches as well as the interviews. Kamala
So
turned
you got
down
to
a
watch
bunch of
like
interviews.
1,500 hours of campaign speeches to learn what his policies are.
No, I'm saying that when you listen to when I listen to Kamala's what do you call it, her campaigns and her interviews, when asked about certain policy issues, she didn't have any. One, because she had to run in like 3 months, short notice, and wasn't elected by her primary,
Listen, this
and
is what
then
this is what. Tell me one thing you heard outside of this when it comes to like economic policy from Trump. I'm gonna have grocery prices down. Grocery, it's a great word. Nobody uses this word anymore. Grocery, like he fucking yapped on and he said absolutely nothing about what policies he would actually enact. If you could tell me one thing that he actually said that he was going to do with the economy, I'd be shocked. He had nothing. He had nothing.
yes, that I understand what you're saying. I'm just saying that she didn't mention it whatsoever or appeal to those voters whatsoever, is what I mean. Like he made claims. In my opinion, every politician, it just depends on, every politician is going to be a liar. He lied about those things, right? But that's what appealed to those voters that believed in him, because he brought up
Yes,
economy
he
and
said very
immigration, which is,
bombastic things that made no
yes,
sense, that were not
yes, his,
specific. He just said, like, we're going to do maybe some tariffs. He didn't say who, didn't say how much, didn't have a plan, didn't have it written down. Like, here's my strategy so that people can actually look at it and be like, okay, yeah, this is sound. No one, he didn't do any of that. And then he lied and said Project 2025 wasn't his. He just said the most unforgettable, insane things that kept him in the media all the time. That's it. He didn't actually address any actual solutions to any of these problems. And when he first came into office this time around, we're all just like put like uh just in shock at some of the things he's doing. Some of it's so insane. And it turns out he is enacting. He's already finished like 40% of Project 2025, which he said he had no idea was. Yet half of his administration is Project 2025 authors and the architect of Project 2025. It's not every politician's a liar. Like name Kamala's worst lie.
she was vice president. They barely, okay, vice presidents, okay, again, yeah, but vice president, what they do is like, not something that's publicized enough. So I would not be able to give you something that she lied about, probably because I don't know what she has said. But my thing is, during election season, most Americans cared about immigration as well as the economy, and that's just points that Kamala didn't touch upon when she was in front of the American population. I mean, her campaigns had celebrities and a bunch of
Like Kid Rock.
people dancing, and a bunch of celebrities dancing and stuff. So verse, and then that is just, and then she went into debt. after having $1 billion for her
Yeah,
campaign
Trump
budget,
did too. He
went
still
into
owes
debt.
$16 million for his 2016 election. Dude, these are all just things that they're very loud and very immature and very toxic, the right. Policy's not sexy, right? Like fixing the economy. When she said something like, "Oh, we're gonna give tax incentives to first-time home buyers and stuff," nobody cared. They'd rather hear about dogs and cats. They'd rather hear about how somebody is not black, or how she just became black. Those were the things that got way more airtime than Kamala just doing what was right and saying, "Here's what my economic policy is," and keeping her composure.
Okay. In the end, in my opinion, I believe that both candidates were pretty shit. So they both had their flaws. I'm just stating like the reasons I believe that Trump appealed to more voters is just because of the issues that he pressed upon more during his campaign speeches and interviews,
Yeah. Next time we have a
regardless of
presidential
whether or
campaign,
not.
do me a solid. Everybody watching, do me a solid. Just go to their website. Read what they're going to do for us. Like, what's their plan? What's their policy plan? And if it's 16 pages and it says things like end inflation, which is completely economically incoherent and dumb, you should run far away from that. If it's somewhere in the ballpark of like 90 pages, sounds a little more acceptable. If it has actual numbers in there, like this is what we're going to do, this is what our tax plan is going to be, these are the economic policies I'm going to enact. Instead, Trump says things that are already happening, like we're going to make America energy independent again, which it was the most energy independent under Biden in 70
Didn't Kamala
years.
want to? I forgot which president, I'm not sure if it was Biden or Kamala, but one of them wanted to enact a tax on unrealized gains.
Yeah, for people making over $100 million.
Yes, in what world would that be something that is something? Yeah, in what world would that be something that makes sense to do? That would literally
You own a home?
stop people. Yeah,
Do you get a letter in the mail every year saying what your property's worth and your new tax rate?
yeah.
Did you make
I know
money
what
off of that?
unrealized. I know what unrealized gains is, but it doesn't make sense to tax someone on unrealized gains.
You're
How
getting
would someone
taxed on
pay?
unrealized gains right now.
Yes, for property, yes, I understand that. But I'm talking about, okay, let's say you have like billionaires, right? That's most likely who they would target, or people that have like companies in Silicon Valley worth like 500, $600 million, but they have a couple million liquid in. How do you tax someone on unrealized gains? It just doesn't that policy just
If
does not
something
make sense.
that you own goes up in worth, you get taxed on that. The end.
No, but I'm talking about taxing, like, for example, your stocks or something like that that you own,
If your
that you
stocks
haven't
go from
withdrawn yet.
$8 to $28 and you
Yes.
go from $1 million worth to 200 million, you get charged on how much you make in that sense, and you don't escape. This is how billionaires escape taxes, all in general. So um, uh, they take they take a loan out with their stocks as collateral, and they live off of that loan. They pay zero taxes on it. They pay themselves back. They even get a tax write-off for the interest of that loan. It's disgusting. When you're so rich that you don't have to pay taxes, that's a problem.
N- Oh, I see what you're saying, but I'm trying to say is how would you even go about carrying out a tax on unrealized gains?
Okay.
How would they pay the tax?
Okay, so when you are hoarding your wealth and your wealth in stocks go from $200 million and you report that one year and then next year it's $400 million, you have to pay the tax on the net change. That's it.
Again, if your net worth was 200 million and it went to, like, say, 600 million, and the tax on that, for example, would be 50 million, but you have let 2 million, how would you be able to tax? Okay, you have a company that is worth $1 billion and you own it. How do you tax someone on the value of a company, uh, and make them pay a tax with money that they don't have? They would have to sell parts of their company, and then that would just take away people's incentive to want to start businesses in America.
Nobody sits around and who's an entrepreneur and goes, "You know what? I'm not going to get rich off of this new idea I have because ultimately in the future I'm gonna have to pay a lot of taxes. Nobody does that to you. Nobody's doing that.
All right, that's fine. It was great talking to you.
All right, man. You too.
Yep.
Chat, follow the stream. Nobody is sitting around going, you know what? When I eventually am a millionaire, I'm gonna have to pay unrealized gains. Or when I'm 100 millionaire, I'm gonna eventually gonna have to pay unrealized gains. I'm just not gonna do anything. Nobody fucking does that. And for those of you saying, oh, we're gonna take our stuff overseas, do it. Do it. Take your shit and fucking leave. If you're not gonna contribute to society, go. And then you can pay, then you can sit behind the tariffs that Trump just enacted. Can you address these guests not refuting stuff you say only from the pivot? Yeah, I know. They just pivot. They just pivot all day. This is like the 14th time I've tried to let this guest up and they are not coming up. Why do they simp for billionaires? It's so bizarre. I don't know, guys. Billionaires? Billionaires have the most money to spend on these political campaigns for pro-billionaire propaganda. So that's probably why. Did I see the Aurora PD press conference today? No, I haven't. What's my favorite type of pickle? Probably a zesty pickle. How has Trump completed the 40% of Project 2025? This is a website called project2025.observer. This tracks all of the things that were in Project 2025 and Trump's work on it. So, like the eliminating of USAID, Communities Futures Trading Commission, the White House. It tells you. So, use the Congressional Review Act to undo Biden era final rulemakings, give political appointees power to personally review and authorize appropriated funding, revire regulatory analysis, OIRA. It's so good, guys. 42% is what has been completed so far. Mostly by executive orders, of course, because Trump can't legislate, he can't govern, MAGA can't govern worth a fuck because their ideas are so bad, Congress won't pass them. You literally just throw out percentages. It's right here at the corner, right there. 42%. 42. This is Project 2025 .observer. You are a zesty pickle, yeah. Mine's stuck at 42. It has been at 42 for, I don't know, a week or two. They said that the TDA apartment takeovers are true and showed videos of it. Tren de Agua? Interesting. So 62 in progress is what makes it 42. 162 out of 313 is probably 42%. And some of these things, some of these items are probably weighed more than others. It's a different apartment complex in Aurora. The same video they showed over and over again. Is it the same one with like the people wearing red with the big pew pews? Yeah. How much is Trump paying the mayor of Aurora, right? Have I tried Splitgate 2? No, I haven't. Oh, Heritage Foundation. It sounds like what Trump's doing, right? To Harvard. Bad Faith is such a good movie, y'all. If you haven't watched it on Netflix, it's so good. It's a sister project 2025. Oh. Is the box open? I'd call, but I can't see it. Bad Faith. Bad Faith. You watch it. Yellow?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, are you a Trump supporter?
I am not. I am against the duopoly.
Okay. Is there anything you want to say real quick?
Yeah, I just be curious. I listened to your stream a few times over the last couple of weeks, and it's my opinion that the Democratic Party establishment is primarily responsible for Trump's success, and I'd be curious your thoughts on that.
Not the party itself that's doing the bad things?
Well, both parties do incredible amounts of harm to the American people and to people around the world in other countries. And I think that things like the bailout of banks during the housing crisis is one key example, or the troop surge in Iraq in 2011 under Obama. These are kind of key examples of why people are willing to take a chance on a crackpot like Trump.
I think that I don't know. I think it's bad faith for you to say we're both the same. The right wing uh, basically does almost nothing for the American populace, nothing for workers' rights, nothing for the poor, nothing for the starving, nothing for veterans. In fact, they just strip people of those like social safety nets and say they're doing them a solid, and they consolidate wealth at the top 1%, and then they use social issues to get elected. And the left actually actively, I kind of compare it to like fighting with both hands tied behind your back. We have to fight fair. We keep our composure. We don't use fascist rhetoric to get elected. And that's what Trump has done, and everybody on the right has rallied behind him, and have enabled him, because he's shown success. They are basically just putting all of their eggs in that basket. Like, listen, they like this guy. We don't know why. We don't care how bad he is. We're going to be able to complete our Project 2025 and all of this other shit, so long as we put him at the front. I think that's what's going on. I don't think that you can compare Obama, who maybe tried his hand at meddling in some of the things during his presidency that were abroad, but doing it very tastefully, in my opinion, doing things with a steady
Doing
hand.
imperialism tastefully is good.
I don't know. I think there's Obama, and then there's Trump, who's just straight up like, let's take Greenland, let's take Panama, let's.
Yeah, I mean, our country's been on a hard right shift for 50 years. Every single
So it's
administration is to
not
the
the
right of the previous
Democrats.
one.
Yeah.
Well, it's both. I'm curious why you would say it's bad faith. I didn't say both parties are the same. I said that the
I would say
Democrats
you can point to.
leaving wins on the table. Like you mentioned yesterday, I think that the Democrats have been trying to increase the minimum wage for years. I think that's a really sad perspective to take. I think they had plenty of opportunities to do it, and in key moments, they would do things like they had the $15 minimum wage increase in an omnibus bill, and then they removed it to stand on its own, which requires more votes in the Senate and allows it to be voted down rather than putting it into a package that's a must pass. And that's just one
Okay.
example. I mean,
Yeah.
I didn't say
So
both parties are the same. You called me
I
bad faith and
I would
strawmanned
I
what I
would say
said.
that like Democrats, we can point to like on a scale of 1 to 10, we can point to like a 2 out of 10, and Republicans at this point, I would say they're like a 12 out of 10. Real bad.
I just don't think that's a very useful metric, and also I would quibble with you on how bad to categorize them if we're going on a scale of 1 to 10. I mean, Democrats are also responsible for millions of deaths abroad under the past few Democratic administrations. You said yesterday, basically, your defense for why Trump's immigration policy was bad was kind of the same that you said about imperialism just a second ago. Basically said yesterday that Biden did immigration, deportations and whatnot more tastefully. But
Mm-hmm.
I would just argue that the policy of mass deportation itself is bad. It's bad for the country. It's bad for the country's residents who are coming here as migrants.
I
So I
agree.
wouldn't
So
say
like,
doing it tastefully is better than doing it with a whole
so
bunch of
me
shitty rhetoric.
saying, hey, first of all, the rhetoric, it means all the difference, right? So like, if you don't want to radicalize society and start having people start to break down and do domestic right wing terrorism, or having them start to hate each other, or stop cooperating with each other, that's one thing. In order to do that and cause disarray and do just about anything you want to and invoke wartime laws to do extra, that's one thing. Or when to quietly enforce things that are a delicate subject, and that doesn't involve extra like plucking of families apart, or going into their workplaces or going to their court dates and disincentivizing people from paying their taxes now, because now that Trump had access to the IRS and they lifted the veil, and the IRS is now working in cooperation with ICE, just all sorts of problematic. Yes, they're like, Biden's is a 1 out of 10 and Trump's is a 10 out of 10. Bad.
I mean, I just think it's kind of unfounded to say that Biden is, 10 times better than Trump. You mentioned yesterday that Biden was able to deport more people than Trump versus
Mm-hmm.
Biden's term versus Trump's first term.
Mm-hmm.
Those numbers are accurate, but I'm curious, why do you think that Trump was unable to deport as many people as Biden in his first term?
Trump ran on the fact that there's just tens of millions of people here now that weren't here before, and that's a complete lie. And if that were the truth, he would be able to easily find these people and deport them. But it turns out they were already deported, and the border wasn't wide open. So it's ruining Trump's political theater
Well,
of showing how
not quite
badass
what
he
I
is.
asked. My
Why
question is
they're not here?
why
That's why.
well, I would disagree. I mean, there are factually millions of undocumented migrants in the United States.
Not millions more.
If I didn't say millions more, there are millions of undocumented migrants in the United States. My point, I'll just get to the point. My point is that Trump was unable to deport as many people as Biden. Partly, I would say he is incompetent. He does waver in his opinions and moods from day to day, and that does hinder him. But I think the biggest reason he was unable to deport as many people is because Trump's rhetoric is so inflammatory that local police departments and state police departments were ordered not to cooperate with him. It really comes down to a local level. So if you have somebody with a quote unquote steady hand quietly enforcing a really disgusting, disgraceful, harmful policy, they're able to get more done because their base, the liberal center of the United States, don't really care. They go back to brunch is kind of the common phrase.
No,
When a Democrat is in power,
the
they
reason
don't look
that's
into their
that's not true.
misdoings, and
It's
they
not true.
don't actively oppose the same policy being enforced with
Okay,
better or
let me
less
let me help you
inflammatory
out.
rhetoric.
That's not true. Most police departments, most of these people, wouldn't they be right leaning? Most people who are like service members, they're usually right leaning, and they would be more than happy to cooperate with ICE, except for sanctuary cities, which has always been the case. If they're a sanctuary city for as long as they've been a sanctuary city, and what I would say is that Biden, um, from Trump went from 11.7 million people that are undocumented in the United States to now 12. And he's somehow supposed to explain how it's not 20 million. And the reason Biden wasn't able to deport them so quickly is because they would come in, and Biden has a 2 year what's it called? The 2 year expedited removal process. So if you're here for under 2 years, it's much quicker. You get rid of them, and that's how. So those people who were here for under 2 years were much more easily removed than the ones who are here for much longer, which are the majority of the 11 million that we're always talking about.
Okay, but we're still not getting to my question at all. My point is Biden, I think we would agree, deported more undocumented immigrants than Trump did. Trump's first term versus Biden's term
Right.
as the comparison.
Interior and exterior deportations. Yes. When somebody comes to the border, you're not supposed to be here, you deport them.
But if they're actually returned without entering the country, that's a refusal, not a deportation.
Okay, but if you're if you're in the immigration system for a week and it turns out that you don't have a reasonable threat, you're deported.
Okay, that's fine, but the point is that quietly enforcing this policy versus loudly and vigorously and angrily enforcing the policy, you're still enforcing the same policy. The
Trump
policy being
is
enforced does not
It's not
serve the
true.
American
Biden
people.
didn't go raid Home Depots, workplaces, court offices. He didn't do that.
I mean, ICE had an enormous budget increase under Biden, and they were actively deporting people, putting them into detention centers. I don't know if you saw Biden's executive
Yeah,
orders in the
because we
beginning
had
of his
12
term.
million people surge the
In the
border.
beginning of Biden's term, he signed numerous executive orders like all presidents do. He did one for political capital, which is where he banned private prisons at the federal level, but he actually increased and incentivized the use of private prisons for migrant detention centers. And he included in contracts for privatized migrant detention centers, forced labor contracts. So we're talking about horrific policy being enforced under both presidents. It's just one of them was having a steady hand and flowery rhetoric about it, and the other one is telling it, like he's giving red meat to his base.
Yeah, I still wouldn't say that they're the same. I still would say that Biden probably had some very good reasons, such as COVID causing 12 million people to surge the border, and there being a border crisis in 2019 before he came in to the likes we've never seen in 50 years. That's probably why he had to increase the federal detention centers for ICE. I think that's just fine. He didn't do it before we started seeing all this. Otherwise, we would say his motives are unknown, or for him to like snickeringly like lock people up. I feel like this is just a response to the things that were happening.
You mean incentivizing slave labor in privatized migrant detention centers is a rational liberal response to an immigration crisis caused by our own military adventurism and sanctions in Latin America?
I guess so. I would have to also see what you're talking about with federal.
You can read his executive orders, and
Okay,
you can see the budget increases for ICE, and you can see the increase in people detained in privatized facilities throughout his presidency.
okay, but that's not what I'm worried about.
Migrants.
I'm worried about like labor, prison labor.
Yeah. There were numerous cases of sexual assaults during Biden's term in ICE detention facilities, and his language in his executive orders incentivized the use of prison labor contracts in these privatized migrant detention centers.
Can you tell me where I can find this slave? Like, this is the only problematic thing I've heard from you today is the we have prison labor increase from Biden.
I'll find you a source and I'll post it in the chat.
Everything else to me sounds kosher.
Yeah, but that's the problem. Like, um, you're talking about people enforcing a policy that has the same end result when it comes to officers enforcing the policy. Your qualm really is the rhetoric. And I understand that Trump
It's
is
not my only
accelerating the
qualm.
program,
It's not my only qualm, but
but
that's definitely a distasteful
it's
way to
just
do
kind
it.
of it's just kind of ridiculous to say if you do mass deportations and militarized border enforcement and immigrant detention centers tastefully, then it's okay. It's clearly not.
I think
And
that's
we're
a
also
straw
still
man. I'm not saying that it's okay. I'm saying that it's much better.
well, you did say that it sounds a-okay. When I described what I had problems with Biden's approach to immigration, you said, well, that was a legitimate response to a border crisis that he
Yeah.
didn't cause.
Okay, so if the law says that we need to detain certain types of people that are coming across the border until we can figure out whether they belong or they need to go, and it's instead of 10,000 people per month, it's 10,000 per day, that obviously calls for more federal detention centers. Otherwise, what are we gonna do? I mean, like we're just gonna like sit them outside in like the parking lot, like this. There's obvious, like Biden can't sit here and say, okay, now we're gonna build this beautiful like I don't know, recreational center for all of these poor people coming across the border. Like this is not something we do in the midst of COVID. Like again, like for you to virtue signal the fact that we should be doing like some crazy like extreme leftist version of what could happen is a little wild. I feel like Biden did what was like the absolute like probably most classful or classiest and tasteful version of what should happen. Like
I
most
mean, you can
pragmatic, I
couch,
guess.
you can describe what you think my motives are with all the insults that you want, but that's not really the case. If Biden wanted to address the immigration crisis, or if Trump wanted to, or if Obama wanted to before him, they could have removed sanctions on Venezuela and Cuba. They could have stopped, exacerbating cartel violence in Mexico and Colombia. They could have actually closed Guantanamo Bay and increase the number of work and study visas allowed in the United States and
They can't do
streamline
that.
the process for applying to them. They absolutely could.
I think that's all up to like a handful of judges, not just Biden.
Well, it's not. I mean, you're seeing the power of a muscular executive go in a very negative direction under Trump. You've never
It's
seen
much
anybody
easier
use
to
it in a
tear things
positive
down than
direction.
it is to implement things.
Well, they're both implementing the policy directives of the billionaires you were just complaining about a moment ago. They work for the same people.
Okay. Somebody said that the 14006 is the one talking about this Section 1 policy. More than 2 million people are currently incarcerated in the United States, including a disproportionate number of people of color. The broad consensus of the current system of mass incarceration imposes significant costs and hardships to society and communities and does not make us safer. The decrease incarceration levels, we must reduce profit-based incentives, incarcerate by phasing out federal government's reliance on privately operated criminal detention facilities. So I can see where he defunded federal facilities. I don't know where it calls for prison labor, though. Lambert says, no matter what you say, Biden was responsible for the withdrawal. That sounds like a huge quote. Biden is weak. Trump is weak. I could literally, as a leader of a country, I can insult Trump and watch him do something that cost us millions. His ego is pathetic. He's pathetic excuse in the shell of a human. I don't know. It feels like your expectations for Biden were a little wild. It sounds like your expectations for Biden to do these like extreme like
Well,
best of the best
we're getting
things, manly things.
pretty far afield. You know, I mentioned earlier, for instance, you didn't really respond that the Democrats removed the $15 minimum wage increase from an omnibus bill and let it stand on its own because they knew that it would be voted down in the Senate. You know,
So
things like that. They leave easy wins on the table. Like they could have codified Roe multiple times. They had majorities in the Senate and the House and didn't do it when they had those majorities so that they can hold it in
there was
front
like
of their
a
voting
there was
base
like
and
a
say, look, this policy you rely on is in danger, or this good thing that you
there was
want,
like
we're going to try and do it in the future.
there was
We
like a
just didn't do
40
it last time.
in fact, I think it was like a less than a month where there was a chance during Obama's administration that would have been able to codify Roe. That's it. And they did so many things. They pushed so many things through. For you to think that we had more than that chance is silly. We've had a razor thin margin in Congress whenever we have had a margin, a majority. So I that's not true.
It is true. You
What?
can
Give me a
deflect and
day.
say, "Oh, we didn't have enough time.
Give me a
It's the
day.
parliamentarian. We don't have real power."
Give me a date. Give me a date and time when we could have passed it. When would we have that type of majority in Congress to codify Roe?
The first 2 years of Obama's term,
It's
his
not true.
first term. Yeah, you had a majority in the House and the Senate for the
Yeah,
first 2
we
years of
didn't have enough
Obama's
to
term.
codify Roe. To like codify like into the Constitution, or to just say
To make a law,
to
not in
just
a
make a law.
constitutional amendment. Yeah.
So you don't think that they would have
All right,
filibustered it?
I just posted the tiny URL version of that Guardian article about Biden extending private immigration contracts to privatize jails despite reports of horrific conditions. This is towards the end of his term too. This isn't even about the executive order at the beginning. He had 4 years to look at how increasing incentives for privatized immigration detention centers was not yielding any good results for human rights or for immigration outcomes. And at the end of his term, after 4 years of watching that policy unfold, he extended contracts, which I'm sure Trump upheld. But you know, you have to really quibble and cope a lot to describe democratic behavior as trying their best and delivering wins for working people in the country
Who's
when in reality that's not actually happening. People's finances are getting worse. They lost their homes under Obama. They lost their financial stability,
you
what
can't blame
little that
Obama
they
for that.
had. Oh, I absolutely can.
Uh,
Obama promised during his campaign trail in 2008 that he would provide mortgage relief to homeowners. And instead of doing that, he paid the entire mortgage relief to the banks and then allowed them to steal the people's homes who were promised mortgage relief and sell them back on the market. I mean, this is a clear example of democratic decision making that makes people lose trust in them for generations. So
you
of
guys
course,
live a serious pipe dream if you think that Obama can just do make good on every single one of his promises. Like I feel like if it
how
were up
about
to
any of his
Obama,
promises? How about any of his
oh my
promises?
god,
I would take
who's your
two,
favorite
not all of
politician?
them.
Who's your favorite?
I don't have any favorite politicians. I support people if they deliver results.
Yeah,
I
you're just
don't
a negative
hero
Nancy,
worship
bro.
anybody
You're like a super critical negative Nancy.
for having standards that I stick to and principles. You can call me a negative Nancy, I guess. I think he's not really a politician, but I think the living person who did the most good legislatively for the American people who's still alive today is Ralph Nader. We have Ralph Nader to thank for the Environmental Protection Act, the Clean Water Act, the Clean Air Act, OSHA, the Freedom of Information Act. I would, if you'd consider him a politician, I would say Ralph Nader.
Sure. So this just talks about how the ICE detention facilities were being overrun and that they needed more funding.
Anitaman super chatted $19.99. That Guardiana article is pretty damning, but we denounce abuses of immigrants. MAGA cheers for them. What are we even doing here?
Thank you, Annie. Thank you. Yeah. Again, that goes to
Hey, can
back
you
to the
still
rhetoric.
hear me? My Wi-Fi just went out.
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah. And what Ann just said, we denounce the abuse of immigrants and MAGA cheers it on. So I feel like if we were
I mean, you
looking at
denounce it, but you support politicians who enable it.
listen, if we were to vote someone in based on their ideals, it wouldn't be on the ideal of abusing migrants. And I'd like to think that is one step better than what Trump is doing. And for you to criticize and say they're both bad and to be like, this is what I think is super great. We'll never have that. You're sacrificing progress for perfection. I don't know. Thank you, Bonnie. Chat, I love you guys. What time is it? 9 o'clock? Annie, thank you so much again. Guys, if you want to yap in my chat, don't do it in all caps if you're on YouTube. And if you want things like text to speech, if you want something for my guest and I to hear aloud, for my whole audience to hear, you can donate $10 on my YouTube channel if you do a super chat. Everyone will hear it. You don't have to do all caps. That guy was smart. I just feel like attitude is everything. Like, to be mad at the Democrat Party for even like the $15 minimum wage thing to be pulled out and pushed on the table. Here's what I think. There's probably half of Congress that are Democrats that believe that an increase in minimum wage would immediately cause inflation, which is true. It would cost our goods that we sell, especially to other countries, to cost more to produce. Unskilled labor, having a low minimum wage allows us to make, and this is a horrible part of capitalism, but it's the truth. So if you don't want to be part of the Congress, or if you don't want the presidential administration to be the one responsible for a very painful but necessary inflation or inflationary moment in the economy, I can see it. Maybe they sabotage that on purpose. You can have the other half of Congress who goes, who gives a fuck? I want everybody to have $15 minimum wage. I think that's necessary. Maybe they also made some deals with some other legislatures and states where, like, listen, here's where it's actually viable for us to have $15 minimum wage because cost of living is so high in California or in New York. But if it was $15 and you're in fucking Kentucky, that could put places out of business. I don't know. $15 thing had to be taken out to get the votes to pass. That sounds like it. And like, for you to be like, God damn, all Democrats who basically want what I want, but Couldn't get all of it. God damn, fuck that. Like, that's so weird. So weird, dude. Minimum wage workers don't make exported stuff. John, that is a very bold assumption. What? Of course they do. What? It should be 15 red states. It also could be that, yeah, they just needed the votes. The higher minimum wage is here, the more likely those jobs, those low skill labor jobs for manufacturing things, will just go straight to China. Maybe that's another thing. Maybe people would lose their jobs. Maybe it would cause unemployment to spike. I don't know. It could be a million things. I'm sure there's all sorts of stuff that you can look at that says um, some lawmakers could see this in a different light than us. But of course, I'm also, yeah, of course, I love being able to say, I think anybody who works 40 hours a week should make a living wage, should be able to house themselves, should be able to eat, um, in whether it be ramen noodles or fucking hamburger helper, whatever that looks like. Butter noodles for the win. I can't do butter noodles though. All right, I'll let you come up for just a second longer. For the record, chat, he didn't run. It seems like he lost power.
Yeah, I lose power a lot when there's storms and it's raining pretty heavy. Yeah, I would just say that, um, if you look at the history of major progressive leaps forward in policy in the United States, they all come from third party or otherwise outside pressure, forcing one of the two major parties to take a popular stance or risk losing credibility and support. So I would just recommend, instead of wasting your time inside the Democratic Party, which I've tried that for multiple years. I supported AOC and Jamal Bowman's runs monetarily and with phone banking. I did the same for Bernie because I thought maybe we should give it a shot and try to improve the Democratic Party, try to address some of my critiques of them through their own institutional change. And they made it very clear that they would rather let Trump win and fundraise off of how bad he is than actually give you anything that you need. So I
I don't
would
know.
just advocate forming local organizations that do mutual aid and eventually building a third party that can either force one of the two major parties to give major concessions like what happened with the New Deal, or actually win power on its own. I would just say that's a far more productive use of time than defending the indefensible
Anitaman
acts
super
of
chatted
people who work for the
$19.99.
billionaires.
Is this a Jill Stein voter? Mind blown emoji.
Were you a Jill Stein voter?
I did vote for Jill Stein, but I'm not a hardcore Green Party supporter.
God damn it.
I don't think that they're viable long term.
All right. Where is she now?
Jill Stein, she's probably still fighting lawsuits against the Democrats who try to keep the Green Party off the ballot in all 50 states.
What do you think she's really doing besides what her lawyers are doing?
What do I think she's really doing? I mean, she's showing up at local rallies, speaking out for the Palestinians. I don't know what it matters, really. I told you I'm not a long term
Having
Green Party supporter. I just
having
felt she was a
lunch
better
having
option.
lunch with a bunch of Russian dignitaries?
What do I care? We need peace between the United States and Russia. If our politicians won't do it, maybe third parties can try.
I don't know.
Are
I
you
think I would blame Jill
is the
Stein.
working class?
I would blame Jill Stein for Donald Trump's win, not the Democrats, if anything. Diverting
Well,
people
that's
like you to
factually
vote to her.
incorrect. Well, I wasn't going to vote for Democrats or Republicans. So if Jill Stein wasn't an option in the election, I would have voted for somebody else or not voted. That's also the same exit poll data you can read about the vast majority of Stein voters. And in every single election that the Green Party has contested that Democrats lost to Republicans, Green voters were far less than the margin of victory for the Republicans. And you really should be bringing up your gripes with the Electoral College or the Supreme Court, who gave George Bush Jr. the election without actually legally certifying Florida's vote. It has nothing to do with blaming third party voters. I mean,
Yeah, she
blaming
was
third
partly
party voters
responsible, not solely,
for your
right?
losses, blaming third party voters for your losses is like MAGA supporters blaming immigrants for billionaires exporting their jobs to other countries.
I think that's silly.
You're
I think that
punching down on
yes,
people who have nothing to do with your
I
problems.
think well, I mean it's not true. There's obviously I would love more than two parties, two viable options, but we know this isn't the
But you
case.
wouldn't support one.
So correct, yeah, because I want to make I want my vote to actually matter, and until we actually do something legislatively that makes them a viable option, there's no point in doing it other than virtue signaling and being a negative Nancy.
So what are some specific policies that you want passed? Just name
Medicare for
two.
all.
Okay. Did voting for Democrats, did that make your vote matter to get those policies to happen? Or did they back down on those issues because to make them happen would offend their donors?
No, I would say that mostly like Obamacare was supposed to be something similar to that, but in order to get it
But
passed,
it
it was
wasn't.
probably Republicans that shot it down in the Heritage Foundation getting their dirty dick beaters on it and fucking it all up.
I mean, Obamacare was a Mitt Romney policy. He passed that already in his own state, and they just replicated it at the federal level. It was a giveaway for health insurance companies. I was on
At
my
the end of
mother's
it
health
was.
insurance until I was 26. I was on my mother's health insurance thanks to that policy, and it did nothing for me. When I needed MRIs or other serious treatments, my insurance company just had their own doctor review it and say, "We don't think this treatment is medically necessary, so we're not going to cover it, and you have to pay out of pocket." So it increased the premiums that the number of people that have to pay premiums. It also
Yeah.
increased the amount of those premiums, and it didn't actually improve care for anybody.
I think the more we point out the problem, like how problematic ideas on the right are, the center and the people who have to appeal to the moderate voters will be more and more left. It will be more and more left. That's what I'm fighting for. I'm pushing the wall as hard as I can with my shoulder. I'm running into the wall and pushing it left as hard as I can, and just coming and saying, listen, this is what we should really do. And it's something so far out of what is pragmatic. It's not helpful at all. It's not helpful at all.
Did you watch Game of Thrones?
Yep.
You remember the Battle of the Bastards where Jon Snow wanted to retake Winterfell from Ramsay Bolton,
Mm-hmm.
and they got caged in on all sides
Yeah.
with spears pointing in at them?
Uh-huh.
That's where you are right now. You're in between the Democratic Party and the Republican Party.
Dude, you voted for Jill Stein, and you're saying that
You're pushing right. You're pushing right, and you're in a rightward shifting political window. The more you push right on the Republicans and you don't hold the Democrats accountable for their shitty behavior, the further to the right the Democrats go.
The more divided we are, the more Republicans are going to win.
You know, the Republicans said the same thing when they were losing in the 30s and 40s during the New Deal era. They said, oh, we just can't get our shit together. The left is so much better organized than us. And then they just created new campaigns and they won eventually.
Yeah,
you
they
could
got
try
the
to do that in
billionaire.
the Democratic Party, except for the Democratic Party is never going to let policies like Medicare for all pass while they are a corporate party. And there's no Knights of the Vale coming in to save you.
Okay, then
going back
then
to that Game of Thrones analogy, you
All
have
right.
to build something else.
Someone just paid to kick you. It was good talking to you. Welcome back some other time, all right?
All right.
W Capitalism, Jennifer, thank you so much. Being super critical of the only party that is trying to keep a king out of office is crazy, dude. W Jennifer. Yeah, ranked choice voting. Would love that. Would love Citizens United to go away. Would love money right out of politics. I think that's not even like clocked it. I'm just, oh my god, he voted and threw vulnerable people like myself to the wolves.
Annie
Thank you.
Taman super chatted $19.99. Clocked it. I'm disabled. He voted to throw vulnerable people like myself to the wolves.
Much love, Annie. Caller was one of the houses that didn't heed the call. I love that. I love that PM42. I love that. Oh my god. W Jin and Jason. Oh my god. So government agencies should control how to get campaign funding. I think yes, I think we should limit the amount that we could use to campaign for our presidential candidates. I think that we should also do whatever it is to get rid of. I mean, it would be a constitutional change, I think, to get rid of electoral college. I think we should do that and make the presidential candidates appeal to all people, to the majority of people, not just people in 7 states. How do we debate? Ugh. RC's in the box. Yeah. Yeah, RC's in the box, chat. Do we take it? Nobody else is in the box. Yeah, I know. Use the Google phone? I'm feeling fucking worn out, guys. So the government agency decides who wins. Yeah, we have a thing called FEC. That's how it goes right now. Hello?
Hello. Hello.
What do you want, RC?
Yeah. Trump's controlled, unfortunately, by Israel. It's weird that the left and the right agree with this, but then you guys are like, no, we're not the same. You right people, you're just anti-Semitic. It's weird. Even where we can find areas of agreement, you guys are still obnoxious.
I don't think we're the ones being obnoxiously like pointing fingers at people saying you're anti-Semitic. That's I think it's the right now.
Both. I mean, you have
We're the ones
Jewish
openly
Zionists.
we're the ones openly saying, "Hey, pro-Palestine, save Palestinians," and we're not calling those people anti-Semitic. Y'all are.
No, well, the Jewish Zionists are. But I just saw a bunch of comments there saying you are anti-Semitic. Whatever. That's the one area where I would agree. Trump is obviously controlled. We should not be pushing for this. If Trump goes this far, I 100%. If whoever the Democrat candidate is, if they're anti-Israel, I vote for that person. That's how serious this is. This Israel thing.
RC, I love you. Have a good night.
See you.
Jason and Jennifer, much love. Jason and Jennifer. W's Jason and Jennifer in the chat. Good Lord. W Jason's, W Jennifer's. Guys, seriously, say that in the chat. Can you say? Can we get some W Jasons and Jennifer's in the chat? And W Annie's in the chat everywhere, please. We've had an insane amount of donations tonight. Thank y'all. Insane. W Sarah as well. Hold on. We need to give everybody love. Guys, I want to take a second and say thank you guys for supporting me and allowing me to do this for a living. It's absolutely insane. Thank you all so much for keeping my bills paid, picking me up off my feet this year. Thank y'all. This is insane. It hasn't even been a year since we started this. It's crazy that I get to do this. Thank y'all. How do we join to debate? You have to join the guest box, but thank you, Share, for the cap. I'm feeling a little worn out. I'm feeling like I'm running on fumes. Sherry, I love you too. Sherry with an I. Thank you, Sherry. Joe says, Dune, you guys are fiends. What would Felice do? You were locked the fuck in today. I'd be wiped out too. Chat, I need fucking friends in real life. If y'all are in Dallas and you want to do friend stuff and you're not a serial killer, hit me up. Megan with the $20. Love your content. Thank you so much. What if we're a serial killer? At least be an ethical serial killer. Like, don't be all slow about it. Like, get it fucking over with. That's fine. Am I still a grim? Yeah, of course I am, Kelly. We're ethical over here. Get out of town, Kelly. Be like Dexter, yeah. Do I have Steam? What games am I playing? Right now I'm playing Dune Awakening. If y'all haven't checked out Dune Awakening, it's MMO. It's so good. It's so good. Pickles doesn't like drawn out murder. I respect that. Yeah. Yeah. You're on Dune 2, Travis? Republicans are cuter. False. You guys are behind the times. Guys. Oh god. What's my political stance? That's my political stance. Lies of P. Get some ice cream. I think I might. I think doing Discord stuff, going to the gym, going to shows, go climbing. Doing servers indicate possible problem again. Guys, they stopped fucking making my favorite ice cream from the ice cream place down the street. You selfish they stopped making the pistachio flavor. They came out with this like fucking key lime flavor. Not tight, dude. I think he did. Magnificent. I think so. Yeah, they're not doing pistachio. Sherry with another 20? What the oh no, that was the same one. Eat a bowl of cereal. You're probably right. Guys, I have like the family size bag of Fruity Pebbles. You know, I'm destroying it. I can't be a baker. Dolly for president. Thank you for the sub. I can't be a baker. I don't have an oven. I could possibly sit something on top of my PC though and cook it that way. RFK Jr. would disapprove. What about milk? We do oat milk in this house. Why don't you have an oven? I live in like a guys. People try to make fun of me all day. By the way, I think I'm gonna stop doing debates. If you guys want to see debates, you're welcome to keep swiping. Give me a follow though before you go. I think we're on the cooldown now. No more debates. Adrian wants park uppies. Oat milk gets you RFK Jr. points. No, dude.
I live like 3 hours away if you want to consider that real life friends.
Yeah. If you're trying to come hang out, we can I don't know. Yeah. We can go to the gay bars.
Period. Or, you know, you can come down to Austin and we can go to like Typhoon, Texas or some shit.
Tight.
It'd give me a reason to clean out my car. I am not a serial killer. I'm too disabled to be a serial killer.
To Austin, the worst part of Texas. Austin's literally the best. Austin's
Bitch.
the shit.
Austin is the shit. The fuck you talking about?
Austin is so dope. I would love chat if anybody wants for me. Yeah, now that I'm not tied down, I can move anywhere I want after my lease is up. I've moved to Austin. I would love to move to Austin.
Move to Austin.
Chat, this is my little apartment, but look at my screen. I have a projector screen now.
Love
I need
that.
to get a little bit better.
Move to Austin.
Bigger one.
This is your
so
subconscious.
expensive.
Move to Austin.
Move to California.
Hector is here too.
Am I by Addison? I used to live in Addison. But no, I'm like 5 minutes south of the very center of Dallas. I'm pretty much in Dallas, like inside the center.
See, I am like 5 minutes out from 5 minutes out from like the Austin city limits, so I just say I'm in Austin.
Did I lose you? Did I move?
Hello?
There you go.
It's my earbuds, or it's either my earbuds or my phone is being absolute dog dookie.
Am I looking to leave Texas? I mean, not really, not particularly. I just had some really weird stuff go down with my family, and I don't want to be here to that bad.
Oof. If you move down to Austin, we can totally go to Jenny's.
What's that?
It's a ice cream place.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. My job, I work at Randall's, which is just a sister daughter store of Albertsons. Trinity, girl, I know me and you got beef. If you want to talk, come say it to my face. Come on up, Ease, and you can come say it to my face.
Don't come
I
to
will
West
turn my
Virginia.
camera on, and I can turn my camera on, and you can say it to my face.
Don't y'all worry. I will probably never move to West Virginia.
Don't do West Virginia. Please don't go to West Virginia. San Antonio! I love San Antonio. Do you want to let Trinity
earlier today? Oh, sorry, Adrian.
Sorry, Sue. Do you want to let Trinity up? Infectious said he could. I doubt she's gonna
I would love to know what
accept.
Trinity's like. I see her all the time. I would love to know.
I've seen her up on a I've seen her up on a panel, or a screenshot of her up on a panel, but oof, me and her.
Hey,
But anyway, Sue, what were you saying?
your sugar mama. I offered earlier to be
Oh,
a sugar mama. I mean, I just got done boxing. I'm all sweaty right now, but I'm strong. No, actually,
Damn.
you could move to Utah, live in our apartment that we have. It'd be great.
Utah, you said?
Don't ever want to live in Utah.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
With the Momos?
Actually,
My stepdad's family lives in Utah.
do they? Whereabout do they live?
Yeah.
Do you
I
know?
don't know. I don't know, unfortunately. All I know is that they live in Utah.
I'm north of Salt Lake and right down from the ski mountain.
Salt
So
Lake is so pretty, but I hate how problematic Utah is.
I know it's a mess. With Mike Lee down there, it's a mess. But it's
Ew.
also, I mean, I live in a great area, so I don't have any problems, really. All my neighbors are dead. We're surrounded by a cemetery, so it's awesome. Just perfect.
God damn.
We can have bands in our backyard and nobody cares.
Period.
Yep.
Do
All right. Well,
do their spirits ever bother you though, or like
no.
mess
So
with stuff?
no. So people ask me that all the time. I do doggy rescue, and when I get dogs that I'm transporting and I foster them over a weekend, we walk through the cemetery at night because it's a great place for them to go. There's no cars, no people, and it is the most peaceful place to be. Like, it's an old cemetery, so you'll like this, talking about Mormons. We have the giant tombstones, and they'll be like, there's a guy over there, and his name is George the Third, and he has 4 wives. So there's a wife underneath his name, and then one on each side of his square stone. It's pretty funny.
That's actually pretty. That's actually really romantic in a fucked up kind of way.
Right?
Having a side for his designated wife,
Yeah.
for a wife.
It's a little strange too, though, when you know how people put their pictures on their stones now?
Mm-hmm.
And so they'll have the husband and wife, and then the wife passes away, and the husband gets married again, and then the next stone has the new wife's picture on it. It's really weird. but at least they're all there
I
together.
can see it being weird.
Yeah. But this cemetery, they actually mow by hand and trim by hand. And so you can keep solar lights up, flowers up. You can do whatever you want over there, as long as it doesn't like take up a space where there's not a stone, right?
With like a scythe or something?
No, they just like with edge trimmers, and no, they just mow it like it's a yard.
Oh, with like one of those like push
Like they have
rotary...
a riding mower, but they also have push mowers. Yep.
Ah.
And they have kids from high school come and take care of the cemetery. It's really, like I said, it's a cool cemetery. It's not scary at all. I walk
That's
there at
nice.
dark by myself. It's not scary. So there are no witches over there. Or if there are some nice ones. That's all I can say. But there's some pretty cool history over there because, as you guys know, a lot of the Mormons settled here, right?
Yeah.
So the oldest person over there was born in 1876. So that's kind of cool. I know. Anyway, my offer stands, Pickles.
Okay, I appreciate you.
You know, I make decent money. You know, I'll just send you a check.
Bert's back. Bert's back in the chat. I saw him earlier.
I love it.
Drop me down.
All right. Thank you, Sue.
Not the witch stereotype. Kenneth!
You can come to Albuquerque.
That's where all the anime conventions are. I hate it.
What is in Albuquerque?
We're in Albuquerque.
NMSU. That's it.
No, UNM, not UNSM.
Hold on.
UNM.
Hold on. Dolly for President did 12 months of deluxe subscription. I didn't see that part. Holy shit. Dolly, thank you so much.
Wow. Congratulations.
Wow.
Bert, you're lucky I don't have the money to ban you.
What's the band from Albuquerque, New Mexico? Not the Strokes.
Not Annie saying the documentary Breaking Bad was filmed there.
Hey, Breaking Bad, we take it strong. We take it very strong.
You can buy that house for $4 million right now.
You can buy that house right now. It's on the market for $4 million.
Shit.
The house they threw the pizza on.
That lady is so dude. She's finally selling it.
Yeah, finally selling it.
Dude, that lady's
$400
crazy.
million.
Wait, who?
The lady, the house at the pizza where they did most of the filming. They're selling that house right now for $400 million.
Lady's nuts.
The Breaking Bad, the Breaking Bad house. We completely jumped to a completely different topic. My ADHD brain is not connected.
Oh yeah, we were talking about Breaking Bad house.
Oh, okay.
But no, honestly, Pickles, if we can meet up between Dallas and Albuquerque.
Augie V Doggy, thank you for the gifted membership. I didn't even know we could do that.
I think my subscription's friggin' expires in like 2 days. I'm so sad.
Well, I'm sure somebody will help you out. Pickles USA tour, guys. There's enough of me to go around. Just we'll organize a thing. You guys can just do the plane tickets for me to, and I'll
for a 30-minute plane ride from Dallas to Austin.
I'll pay for the first round. I don't drink, guys. I don't drink.
We'll get you a mocktail. We'll get you a mocktail. Pickle.
I'll take it. It's like a mocktail.
Mocktails are so good.
I'll take a Shirley Temple.
Ooh. Speaking of adult drinks.
Annie knows.
Speaking
Thank
of
you.
adult drinks,
The shins.
I have an adult drink.
That's what I'm thinking of. The shins. Thank you, Annie. You know. Hime, thank you. Hime for the $5 for the 5 subs. Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry. That's Jaime. Oh my God. You spelt it out phonetically. Is it Jaime? It's not Jamie? Is it Jaime?
It's Jaime.
Okay. I'm gonna say that from now on, now that I know. Jaime. Sorry, Jaime.
Jaime.
Hey, Ron.
No, because usually anytime you see that spelling, it's usually Jaime. But I've noticed that some people do spell it with a Y, and that's when it becomes just another spelling of Jamie. If that made any sense whatsoever.
Yeah.
I got new elf ears because I'm missing one of my other ones. But these ones are like too big, even though the freaking thing said it was a short style. We have to do a Renaissance fair. We just gotta meet up and go to a Renaissance fair.
I don't know if I'm I mean, I wouldn't mind eating like a turkey leg.
Turkey legs. One of my friends used to, like, as soon as we would get there, she would buy a turkey leg and then just shove it down the front of her shirt into her corset so she could walk around hands free.
Ew.
I mean, hey, it would still be in the tinfoil. So.
All right, y'all. I don't know. I think I might play. I think I might. Does anybody just want to watch? It's still kind of early. Is anybody down for Discord movie night?
Yeah.
Pickles, where do you want to live? Honestly, Austin sounds way awesome. Austin sounds like the place I would like. Maybe just like somewhere just right on the. I would probably live downtown Austin. I would love to do that, actually. Yeah.
Downtown Austin's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's just parking is a bitch.
What's glazing mean? Like liking somebody. Oh, I didn't even realize you had your camera on. Look at those. That's tight.
See, I like these ones too because these ones match my paleness a lot better than the other ones. The other ones were a little too yellow. But I don't like the size of them. I wish they were just a tiny bit smaller.
Which she's never said before.
God damn it, Kenneth.
Guys, what movie should we watch? Oh, we can watch Sinners. You guys down for Sinners tonight?
Yeah, you said we were doing you said last night we were doing Sinners today, so.
Trish says Dune. I'm actually way fucking down for Dune. Dune sounds it's kind of long. Fucking way down for Dune. Dune or Sinners? Dune's like 3 hours long.
Someone's got to make a poll.
Which Dune? The first one. I mean, not the 2011. Is it 2011?
We could always watch the 1970s one. With the I liked the. Is it 19 infectious? The original Dune was what, 1970s?
I think it's 80s.
It's either 74 or 84. It's one of the fours. I can't remember.
All right, Pickles, kick me down. I got to go get dinner.
All right, bub. Catch you soon. I'll watch your TikToks too soon, I promise.
Okay, I'll try to get them sent over to you. I didn't get it done, but are you on tomorrow?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I can't kick you, by the way. I have
is
something
no
else
longer...
open. So you're I don't know if you know how to leave.
Okay. Okay.
All right.
I think.
Ooh, having to choose between Haley Steinfeld and Zendaya. A lesbian's dream.
All right, we have a poll. It's right here. If you guys want to vote on what movie we're doing, right here. Click on the thing and then vote. And I just lost my window for TikTok, so this is basically going to force me offline anyway.
Oh no.
Where's the bio? Okay. This is how you get to my bio. It's just this. It's my like profile page, and you would click my link that's right there. And then here's my Discord server. Mad Max is a good one too from 2015. That's pretty good. You don't have no motion tonight,
Has anyone
bro.
seen Furiosa yet?
Furious is good. It's pretty good.
I also want to add my payment stuff into my bio, but I have no idea how to do that. So I'm just If I'm gonna Rickroll, I might as well make money from it. You know?
I feel ya.
Because I finally made a PayPal. I got Venmo though.
Did we watch The Substances yet? Yes. Yes. Really good. How are we doing? Sinners is winning 7 votes to 2. Chat, if you guys want Sinners or Dune, you got to vote. I think it's right here, right? Pickles, the poll isn't heading your way. It's true.
I know this isn't gonna work, but it's like right here in like the upper left corner.
I can't even see. Guys, I'm going to go ahead and turn off the YouTube because I can't even show y'all what I'm streaming anymore. The screen capture is broken. So I'll see y'all tomorrow.